imagine the potential of a two-way connection that sees African diasporans in general, not just as successful individuals abroad, but as vital contributors to their home country's progress. You and I know when I say successful individuals abroad, not every diasporan is successful. I know diasporans who struggle or go through challenges. But for the sake of argument, let's paint a broad stroke, right, that they are successful. So these group of people, many of which are professionals, they carry invaluable combination of global cutting-edge knowledge and cultural insights. And most of them are uniquely poised with their skill set, with their background, to have the potential to help reshape Africa and Africa's economic landscape, right? And also to help bridge the gaps and to even help unlock or spark innovation across across borders, or across the Atlantic, or across the desert, whichever way you look at it as a diaspora. So today we are going to be diving deep into how we can tap into this enormous potential. That is how we can tap into the potential to create impact back home. What are the avenues by which we can create impact? So to lay the groundwork, I'll say too often we see the disconnect between many diasporans wanting to find out what they can do to drive change, wanting to find out what they can do to effect lasting impact back home. And sometimes they try, sometimes they just give up because of the frustration, the red tape, and what have you. But I think this video today is basically going to attempt to couch a roadmap by which diasporans can leverage their insights and experiences and resources to have an impactful contribution back home. That is what this video is going to be all about. All right, before we jump deep in it, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, or if issues that has to do with Africa, its diaspora, and how the combination of Africa and its diaspora can come together through knowledge sharing to be able to impact our continent, then you need to subscribe to this channel. If you haven't done so, please do so. And so that anytime I come up with content like this, and I promise you, come up with content that to me I see as super valuable, inspirational, motivating, energizing, nothing negative here, positivity. So if you are in that category, I would entreat you to subscribe to this channel to encourage me to do more. All right, let's jump back into the content. Okay, so most diasporans that I've interacted with, most of the time when you're talking about, okay, what can I do back home? Typically they are looking at, yes, I could do more. I don't know which avenues, but the least I can do is send money back home. If something is needed, send money back home. I think that's a great place to start. So I'm just going to go through 4 points or 4 areas or 4 categories that you can look at in terms of creating an impact or having an impact back home. I know there's going to be a ton of others, and I'm going to solicit for your input in filling in the gaps. So if you see that there's something that I missed, drop it in the comments, and let's all of us have a sneak peek view into your secrets, your secrets or your secret vaults, right? That would help us all to be able to learn more and inspire each other. So let's start with the obvious one. So basically we're just going to do a breakdown of these 4 areas. So what are the areas that we can all jump on to make an impact back home? The first, obviously, is their financial contribution or financial influence. To me, that's the most obvious one. Everybody knows somebody your nephew is not feeling well, or your nephew needs to go to school, or your sister or your niece back home needs to go to school, or it's unfortunately not feeling well, or parent is not feeling well, you are going to have to send money. So that in itself is called remittances. These are remittances that most African countries need. They need. It's not that it's like, it's almost like bloodline, right? They need a constant supply of diaspora sending in these resources to their parents, to their loved ones, to even do like real estate projects and all these things. They are needed. The reason is very simple. Research after research from all these big IMF, World Bank, all these bodies done several research to know that the amount of remittances that come through for most African countries is far greater, in most cases, than foreign direct investments, or actually foreign direct investments and, I would say and, not all, and development aid. So all the aid, you think about it, all the aid that Africa is receiving from all over the world, all the taking their, sometimes some leaders take their begging baskets, go around beating, beating their begging baskets, making noise, give us money, give us, help us, we are dying, all that kind of thing. Together with foreign direct investment, that is foreigners bringing in their resources to invest on our continent. When you combine that money together with development aid, it still pales in comparison to the amount of remittances that diaspora, like yourself, send back home on an annual basis. So that tells them kind of massive economic footprint that remittances alone brings. So think of areas like healthcare, funding schools, even funding small businesses, funding real estate and the construction industry. It's enormous. So that is one area. And most of the time when I'm talking to my friends in the diaspora, that's where everybody's mind jumps to. That, oh, my impact is that I'm sending money back home. That is great, but that is not all. So we're going to unpack the other three. And the first of the three is the power of knowledge sharing. You and I know that most diasporans, I would say the per capita knowledge base of most diaspora professionals is way high. I think if you look at one of my videos that I did in the past when I was comparing the Indian diaspora with African diaspora, you realize that particularly in the US, the percentage of Africans who have migrated to the United States and live there and work there, the percentage of those people who are over the age of 25, who have at least one college degree, or they have at least a first degree, at least a first degree, above 25 years, they have at least a first degree. That percentage averages about 41%. So this is what it means. For every 10 Africans you meet on the streets of New York, San Francisco, Dallas, Texas, Portland, Oregon, any US city, every 10 Africans that you're going to meet on the street who is above 25 years, chances are 4 of them have at least a minimum first degree. That is big. This is the reason why it's big. The average for North America, United States, the average, the overall average for the combined United States, for that same metric of those who are over 25 years with at least a first degree, that average hovers around, I think, 31%, give or take, they're about 31%. but that of African immigrants is 10 points higher. Now, if you were to even peel down the onion, to slice it, actually go deeper, take a step deeper, and you're going to slice it even by country, it even gets more juicier. So you take a few countries, I think Kenya, Cameroon, Nigeria, possibly even Ghana. So let's start with Nigeria. So Nigeria, their statistics is far crazier in a good sense. So Nigerians in the United States who are above 25 years, the percentage is 64% of them have at least one degree or a first degree, at least 64%. That is way higher than the national average. It's actually more than twice. So once again, you find 10 Nigerians on the streets of Washington, D.C., Maryland, Massachusetts, anywhere, right? 6 out of 10 of those that you meet at least have a first degree. And I think Cameroon, if I'm not too sure, Cameroon is about 5 out of 10. Ghana is about 4.5 out of 10. That tells you the embodiment of knowledge. Apart from just the academic successes that exist within the diaspora community, most, particularly professionals, are working on cutting-edge institutions of like Wall Street, Silicon Valley, big-time research institutions, some in the big-time academic institutions. They know a lot of academics who work in Ivy League institutions, people who work at places like Tesla, Microsoft, Dow Chemicals, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, what have you. I mean, they are everywhere. Why am I saying this? Being in those places, they are acquiring or have acquired cutting-edge global skills. Cutting-edge global skills that are, to a greater extent, sometimes in scarce supply in their home countries. Those type of high-level niched skills are in very limited supplies back home. So think of it as a diaspora. That what are the areas that I could share my knowledge back home to make an impact? So, for instance, there are a lot of organizations like tech companies or fintechs particularly that are started in Africa or started back home, whose inspiration came from diasporans who decided to bring back the knowledge base they have acquired, be it in financial services or health tech or agri-tech or any kind of high-tech knowledge environments. They bring this kind of knowledge base and bring this body of knowledge, and then an ecosystem of innovation breaks out of that. And then you have big tech companies coming out of it, big fintechs. There are unicorns in Africa, especially in Nigeria and Kenya and the rest. There are big unicorns, especially in the fintech area. And I can bet that, I'm not a betting person, but I can really bet that some of these big startups that really are making strides, there are elements of diaspora power in there, diaspora knowledge base or knowledge power in there that is driving these kind of innovations and these kind of. So let's look at, you're looking at, okay, you can contribute money, that's remittances, but another area is the area of the power of your knowledge and the knowledge that you can share. So I just had a call with one of the largest startup accelerated on the continent of Africa. We were having this discussion probably about a week or two ago, And this organization, they are huge, and they are making a huge impact by seeding startups. So they bring the startups in, give them training, give them whatever the resources, and at the end of the training, they fund them. They give them a couple of tens of thousands of dollars as seed money for them to grow. So they like every accelerator, as part of their training curriculum, they need to tailor make it for local context and also for global context, because most of their cohorts, their products doesn't just appeal to Africans. Some of the products appeal globally. So as part of their strategy going forward, they want to work with African diasporan experts to be like subject matter coaches or I would say mentors, quote unquote, quote unquote, mentors for these entrepreneurs back home. And it's not even going to be a free thing. It's going to be a paid service. But to me, the joy as a diasporan that you can be a part of something like this where you are really, really contributing, coaching a young guy or a young lady who is coming up with something innovative back home that's really going to solve a pertinent need. And you bringing your knowledge and your experiences, possibly even your network, to help this young person so that they achieve their goal or their targets, immense. Coupled with even the fact that there could be an opportunity for you to even throw some of your resources in there as an investor, as a seed investor. It's like that a conversation really appealed to me. So I'm even going to, in the next couple of weeks or so, I'm going to hammer a little bit on that in some of my episodes going forward, so that we're going to be recruiting an army of diasporan experts to return loose on the continent to serve as mentors. Because with all this experience, if somebody is coming into is doing a fintech, and you're probably you work for PayPal, or you still work with Stripe, or you work with TD Ameritrade, or any of these financial institutions out there. You work for an investment banker, you work for Credit Suisse or UBS, any of these kind of Goldman Sachs, and do that. Would it be great for us to be able to pair you with an organization that is training entrepreneurs in fintech sector to help Africans? To me, that's a win-win. So you're going to be hearing from me on that. So if you are interested in that, you can put it in the comment or so, and then we'll start. We need to build that ecosystem to help our own. So that's number 2, knowledge sharing. Okay, knowledge sharing. That's number 2. So let's look at the third one. Third one is crucially important too. Crucial. That is the opportunity to help expand trade opportunities. Why do I say that? So recently, there's been a talk, if you've not heard of it before, there's this acronym that is AFCFTA. AFCFTA, that's the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Africa Continental Free Trade Area. The purpose of it, and if you are from the AFTA Secretariat office, don't ram heat on me. I probably may make some mistakes or misrepresentation. It's okay. Just apologize upfront. So what I think they are trying to do is to connect the entire African ecosystem in terms of trade together as one trade bloc, like the European Union is, right? The EU is a large trade bloc. So once the AFTA or AFCFTA kicks in, it becomes now the largest trade bloc in the world in terms of the number of people it touches. This trade bloc is going to be representing like close to 1.3 billion people. Large trade bloc. What does the trade bloc mean? It means that we're going to make it in such a way that it's like borderless trading. Africa becomes like one big country as far as trade is concerned, where there's free movement of goods, free movement of people. And if you've not watched my video about visa restrictions, removing travel restrictions across Africa, I want you to watch that video. I think there should be a link there. That is going to inspire you. So the AFCFTA looks to build one unified market for the entire Africa. That would help scale up, I would say, prosperity and wealth generation across the continent. What that does is that, let's say, a manufacturer from a small country like, let's say, Gambia, which is very, very tiny, one of the smallest countries in Africa, or maybe Cape Verde or Equatorial Guinea, somebody could manufacture something there, and all of a sudden, the next day, he has access to a market of 1.3 billion people. And that is how wealth is made. Wealth is made through scaling and market distribution. You have huge market distribution. So that is what it is that they are trying to build with the AFCFTA. So now, where do you come in as a diaspora? So this initiative actually opens new doors for trade across African borders. And diaspora networks can be the key to promoting African brands. Why? So diaspora connectivity could be used as a marketing tool for African brands. And I will break it down further. Your connectivity, your network, the fact that you have access to a pool or a pool of network outside of Africa could be used as a marketing tool for other African brands. That the diasporans could help build partnerships. They could help build partnerships between African businesses, particularly SMEs, and the world out there. So consider this. Let's say, consider maybe you are a Ugandan entrepreneur. You live in London, right? So you are an African diaspora, okay, or African immigrant living in the United Kingdom. You are an entrepreneur. Imagine such a person who partners with local farms back home. And I hear Uganda is one of the best places for agriculture. I hear they have amazing fertile soil for food production. Okay, so imagine a Ugandan entrepreneur partners with local farmers back home to export organic food products back into the United Kingdom. Remember, this Ugandan businessman has connections back in London. He has network. He probably lived there for 20, 30 years. He knows areas that have a high demand or high need for those types of fresh food products. But this farmer back home in the village knows nobody. He's nothing. He just produces those products, and then if nobody buys them off his hands, give or take 1 week later, the food will start going bad. They have to throw it away. And this farmer is poor. But what if there's that kind of coalescing groups of farmers that are being represented by African diasporans or African entrepreneurs out there in the developed world to create distribution, to create flow through of products or goods and services back from Africa into the developed world. We need that connectivity to spur wealth creation, because that relationship would ensure endless supply of cash flow for these farmers or cooperative farmers who are back in Uganda, in the villages, in the hills, in the valleys, working their butts off on their farm to put food on the table for their kids and take their kids to school. That relationship where they have that connectivity with the diaspora community to create market for their products is an invaluable need back on the continent. So I want you as a diaspora to begin to think about, which relationships do you have? Let's say for somebody who maybe has a relationship with grocery chains like, say, Kroger, Walmart, Asda, Sainsbury's, Tesco, Marks and Spencer. All these are, like retail chains out there. Let's say you have a relationship with those kind of organizations already. Could there be a possibility that you can get involved with other African small businesses to package products and services back on these developed markets? Because then that farmer there will start earning real income. We're talking of foreign exchange. So that is a major area in the area of trade. I mean, so in terms of trade, they call it trade facilitation. You are facilitating trade out of the continent of Africa into the developed world so that Africa starts earning foreign income. That's one of the areas that economists will tell you that we can even have, we can curtail Forex or FX volatility or declining, or most of these currencies declining against the US dollar. The more foreign exchange our local economies can earn, the more sustainable our currencies will be. So there we have, you have the opportunity to begin to look at solutions out in Africa, products out in Africa that you can help promote within the diaspora community. That's one. And let's look at the last on my list. This is not exhaustive. So as I finish this, I would want you to drop comments for any gaps that I may have left in other areas that this video didn't even capture, that you think the diasporans could use as a vehicle to make an impact back on the continent. So the next one is driving innovation through entrepreneurship. Driving innovation through entrepreneurship back home in Africa. And I mentioned this briefly. Also, I was talking about skills, and skills and skills transfer or knowledge sharing. So entrepreneurship is a major driver of change in any society. And diasporans, particularly diaspora professionals and entrepreneurs, have in the past launched startups that impact Africa immensely. I know of somebody who came from California. It was a diaspora. He came back, launched a business in pharmacy, in the area of pharmacy distribution, or digitizing their entire, I would say, broken system of pharmacy supply chain. And he wrapped entrepreneurial idea around that. And today is like his business is blown off. I think it's M-Pharma also. There are many such ideas that were brought by diasporans, and they beautifully executed those ideas. So begin to think about what innovative or entrepreneurial ideas do you have on the ground? I mean, do you have that could be implemented, that could have a lasting impact on the continent? So particularly in the area of healthcare, we always have healthcare challenges. Healthcare, an area that immensely is crying for help. Healthcare crying for help. So you have the payor side, the payee side, the resources side, the supply chain side, and what have you. There are so many, and then not only that, and then healthcare analytics as well. So things has to do with decision support in healthcare. All those areas are green areas. The other one, education. Education is crying for revamping or innovation on the continent. Education, ed-tech solutions, training solutions out there that would help. There are a lot of schools that would need retraining of their staff with cutting-edge global ways of doing things, global ways of teaching math, cutting edge ways of teaching language, teaching language or literacy skills. There's so many ways of doing that. There's opportunities. There's also opportunity in agriculture, ag tech, anything within the food supply chain. There's opportunities there to look at. So many. This is just a few. not just in the tech area, but even in brick and mortar solutions. There are opportunities there, brick and mortar, anything that has to do um, with family entertainment and families getting together, theme parks, water parks, and all those kind of things. They are out there. Tourism potential. Their list is endless. Why do I say this? I know I'm saying this to not get most of our diaspora brothers and sisters comfortable. Entrepreneurship is not a comfortable thing. It can be tough, but it's very rewarding. Not just financially rewarding, but soulishly rewarding. How do I say that? You feel that your life has counted for something, right? It's like when you see your product or your service being used by a client or a customer. I don't know what else, regardless of how much money you made out of it, even if it was $1, when you see that your solution is being helpful to somebody, I think the satisfaction that comes out of that, no amount of money can match that. It's just satisfying. So I say this to get comfortable diaspora professionals off their seat of comfort, to begin to think a little bit on the edges and see what solutions can be done. And this is sometimes that worries me. I see it on the continent, most of the big solutions that you hear about on our continent, there are solutions that are created on the continent, but not by indigenous Africans. They are foreigners who come in, Europeans, sometimes Asians, from people of all walks of life. They live. You go to East Africa, they are there plenty. They are not really Africans per se, but they have seen the opportunity and they are coming to just create solutions so that they can also take advantage. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm looking for the day when our diaspora community, we can channel our skills, contributions towards the growth, skills, talent, resources, contribution, what have you. We channel all these things towards the growth of an African-owned innovation ecosystem. African-owned accelerator program, African-owned innovation, ecosystem, right? That could place millions of young Africans at the center of, I would say, solution building, and unleash the potential that technology, innovation could have towards driving social and economic development across the continent. I'm looking for that day because most of the opportunities or most of the businesses that we even talk about, what is Africa, most of the time they are not even owned by Africans in Africa. They're owned by foreigners. So I think unpacking this becomes a fantastic opportunity for us to look at, okay, yes, we bring remittances home, but that's not the only way by which we can make an impact. Make an impact through skill sharing, make an impact through trade facilitation, make an impact through good old innovation and entrepreneurship. Innovation and entrepreneurship. And I believe there's more. So there's more. And I want you, all of us to participate. Let's share ideas. Comment, send your comment, share about what areas that you think we can add to this. This by no means exhaustive. I want us to do that. And before we do that, if you are interested, we just started a community. We just started very, very new community that connects Africans in the diaspora with African business owners and African professionals on the continent. It's called Find Diaspora Experts. It's finddiasporaexperts.com. This is where we meet. The goal or the idea is to meet, we share ideas, we collaborate, we share best practices, we connect, we network, get to know each other so that we can, over time, we can develop like partnerships, we can develop, like ideas, think tanks, that kind of this. It's very, very, very new. So, and it's free. You join, you join us, and then we're going to come up with some great programs throughout this year that is going to help in transference of skills. As we talk about skills transfer, knowledge transfer. We're going to be doing some workshops and idea sharing. It's going to be fun, fun, fun. So if you haven't joined us, consider joining us. Visit finddiasporaexperts.com, and there's going to be a link in the description that you can just click on to join. Nothing gimmicky. It's just straightforward. So, in a nutshell, there are endless opportunities to have a real impact on the economic mobility and wealth of Africa or the population of Africa. There's endless routes to make that. So I want you to think about it. If in your experiences, what has been some of the routes that you have used to make an impact? If God has blessed, I know there's something I didn't even cover. Those who are doing in the area of I would say charity giving, there are a lot of people who are setting up ICT centers back in their home villages, and we want to hear those things. There are people who are supporting hospitals and clinics back home. We want to add that to the list. So if there are things like that, let's just share them so that we can pack it all and share it with this community. We'll even share it on that community there. That these are things that you could do if you are looking to really make an impact, hit the ground running with an impact. So I know what I've shared is not endless. So do so. So my question to you is, what are you going to do? Doing nothing is not an option. And as I said, it's great to send money home, but that is not enough. Yes, that is great. That's a good start. But can you consider taking the next step? I know, yes, there are challenges with government and corruption and all that kind of thing. But look, if we're going to wait to the day that corruption will be over, maybe it will be the turn of our great-grandchildren. I don't foresee that happening. But I see that we still can make a difference in the chaos. That is you and I. We have to do something. We just can't say we can't do nothing. We have to do something. We owe it to our children, our children's children to do something. Even in the midst of corrupt government and corrupt days, those things may not be in a direct line of control. What is in a direct line of control is, what can we do? And there's always something to do when you ask the right questions. And to me, the right question, what can we do? What can I do? And you'll be surprised. When you ask that question and you ask that question long enough, you'll be surprised what you'll come up with. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell for more inspiring content like this. Until next time, peace. See ya.